Well, I did it. I finally did it. I went out and got me a big boy phono preamp. Hi, I'm Bob, and you are in the United States of Analog. You like the new shirt? Hit me up. Welcome. Please like and subscribe and do all that YouTube stuff that feeds the algorithms. You can like, subscribe, comment, and stick around because I have a pretty cool piece of gear to show you. It's from Black Ice Audio based in Maryland, USA. It's a full-sized phono preamp with moving magnet and moving coil capabilities. It's a tube amp. It's called the Fusion 9 Mark III. Now, before I show it to you, let's back it up and talk a little bit about my hi-fi journey over the years. It's been decades since I've been collecting components. I've been upgrading them along the way steadily, as much as my budget would allow. I have better amps. I certainly have better speakers. I've stepped up my turntable game quite a bit. And at some point, during the Pando, as we'll call it, I finally got that DAC itch, and I picked up a couple J2 DACs. But there is one audiophile category that I haven't really stepped up my game. The phono preamp stage. I'm not sure if it was just an oversight or if I just underestimated the importance of the phono pre, or both. I never thought much about them. Now, I've always been aware of the need. Now, I know the signal coming from the cartridge is very low, it's weak, and it needs a boost before it hits the integrated amp or the preamp. Now, I'm also aware that in these modern times, many amps no longer have built-in phono pre. Some do. Some budget turntables include a phono stage, but proceed with caution with those. The quality of the built-ins can be questionable at best. Now, with all this in mind, I've owned many standalone preamps over the years. All of them under a hundo. Ooh, right? Ick. I know, but I wanted to spend my cash in other categories. I thought the signal just needed a boost. But I never really considered that the phono pre could also affect the quality of the sound, and it can. And I know that now. Enter Black Ice Audio, formerly Jolita. Now, I reached out a month ago because I own a Jolita JD202 from like the 90s and a JD 1301. I guess it's a hybrid tube amp. And I thought they might like to support my channel by sending me some review units. Now, when they asked me what I wanted to start out with, and thank you for contacting me back, Black Ice Audio, I scoped out the Fusion 9 Mark III, which I have right here. It's a phono pre at about $900. And I've never really owned a big boy phono preamp, as I mentioned. I've never really had a really super audiophile one. And I wanted to see if it would make an improvement on my system, especially with a particular amp that I've been less than enthusiastic about. My Macintosh MA252 100 watt tube hybrid. Yeah, I said Macintosh. This Mac was my first, and it was a culmination of decades of thirsting for this American brand. But I found that amp to be overly warm, lacking in detail, lush, lacking in soundstage, and it went into clipping occasionally at what I would consider to be reasonable volume levels. Now, I can go on and on about my disappointment, and maybe that should get its own video, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's hot trash, because it's not by a long shot. But I always talk about expectations in this hobby, and I guess my expectations were not quite met, even if they had been a little unreasonable. Well, wait a minute. Check that, because at $4,500 list, my expectations absolutely should have been met. Listen, it looks great, and it can have moments of greatness. I just thought it could be better. And I wondered if the Fusion 9 could come to the rescue, because I play mostly vinyl with the Mac, and the built-in phono stage is pretty good, and the MoFi Studio deck table and the Master Tracker cartridge are great. I just wondered if I could make it better. And considering the price of this gear, which is part of my reference system now, I thought a quality, slightly under $1,000 phono stage would be price appropriate, though I hadn't heard it yet. Now, here's what I'm talking about, the Black Ice Audio Fusion 9 Mark III. It's their entry level. There's also one more that they have in their catalog, an $1,800 F159 model. Unlike most phono stages, the Fusion is full size. It's a full size unit, a full size component. It's not a small black or silver box, though it comes in black and silver. It's 16 pounds, so it's pretty heavy, 17 inches wide, 13 inches deep, and 3.75 inches tall. There's a 5-year parts and labor or 1,000-hour warranty, whichever comes first. Inside, two 12AX7 tubes. They're Sovtek models, so if you don't like the country of origin there, you can roll them with any number of Muller, JJ, GE, Electro Harmonics, Gold Lion. The list goes on and on. You know, roll to your heart's content, have fun. There's a lot of tubes out there. Very solid construction, very heavyweight. The metal case is not flimsy. It's not giving here. Yes, the Fusion form factor is large, and I think there's some reasons for this. You can stack another component on top. In fact, this could be a platform for most standard turntables. I know my Project fits on here nicely. And also, if you're tight on space, you might want to stack gear on top. Also, and this is just a guess, I think the real estate inside gives the components room to breathe and not interfere with each other electronically. You know, you're separating them. And I think there's sonic benefits to that, and I know there are in other components, so that's probably true here. They're keeping the hot side hot and the cold side cold. You know, you just got McDLT. The distortion is rated at less than 1/100th of a percent. Signal to noise 100 dB. Hey, the front is thick frosted glass, and there's a backlit Black Ice logo. I think it's right here. And that lets you know that the unit's in standby and everything's kind of nice and warm. And you can lightly touch this big B, which is lit here. It's already lit. I've already touched it. It's a touch, you know, just a light touch there to turn it on. And then you're powered up and ready to go. I put the Fusion in my fantastic BDI cab, and I like the way the lights played peekaboo. This is the first audio review ever to reference the word peekaboo. Now on the rear panel, the standby on and off, as I mentioned, the AC input for a power cord, both balanced in RCA outs, and a pair of RCA in. A couple of big selling points are under the metal plate in the back. First, you can match the Fusion to your phono cart's impedance. Now I set mine to match exactly my master tracker's impedance of 47K. Nice, right? Now, during my listening, I tried other settings on either side of that 47K, but 47K was clearly the winner. And make sure you take extra care to seat the switches correctly. They're rather small. You don't want to degrade your sound. That kind of happened to me on one run. You know, your fingers might be too big, so find a small tool, maybe a toothpick if you want to flip those up and down. I think that some kind of gain control on any phono stage is essential, as the output levels of cartridges can vary greatly. The Fusion has 3 levels to choose from: low, medium, high. Brilliant. If you have a moving magnet cart, start at low. If you need some more juice, go up to medium. Moving coil will require either medium or high. Remember to set both channels on the switches. Well, Black Ice boasts their R-Core transformer and very high quality components. Here are the specs. Check them out. And remember, you can change the sound by changing the tubes. I evaluated this unit strictly on the stock Sovtek tubes. So with the Fusion, I think you get a good amount of flexibility to tailor the sound to your particular equipment and to your liking. Cheaper boxes and built-ins are kind of often a get-what-you-get situation, which is fine for some, but I wanted to tackle a specific problem: the shortcomings of my beautiful MA252, however disappointing. Now, setup was easy. There's a quick start guide included in the box, and I tried both RCA and balanced, and honestly, my ears can't perceive a great difference between the two. You know, use what makes you feel good inside. The 3 prongs of my bold experiment of pairing my Mac with the Fusion were: number 1, soundstage. I wanted more separation of instruments and voices. I just wanted more. Number 2, dynamics. I wanted more highs and lows and everything in between. And excitement and emotion. I wanted more drama in the music than I was getting from the Mac. I brought out some of my best bands and artists for the test. Of course, what audiophile review would be complete without Dire Straits? John Coltrane, Steely Dan, always the Steely Dan, and the Floyd, and the amazing Bill Withers thrown in the mix for good measure. All audiophile pressings from MoFi and Blue Note, except for the Floyd, which was a Grunman cut reissue. On Pink Floyd's Obscured by Clouds, a lesser-known Floyd favorite of mine, there were moments that actually startled me on the opening track, that made me lift my head from the liner notes I was reading to see what was happening. Dynamic as hell. Steely Dan's Cousin Dupree, an easily cancelable song in 2023, was full and wide with every naughty vocal detectable and every instrument beautifully separated in space. Dire Straits, You and Your Friend, it was also equally dynamic with the texture of Mark Knopfler's National guitar coming right through. Every note clear, palpable. You could hear the strings vibrating. John Illsley's bass cuts through like a wonder. Beautiful detail. It's a stunner with this equipment combo. And my speakers for this test, by the way, were my beautiful Klipsch Forte 4s in walnut. Blue Train by John Coltrane, the stereo version, hit the mark as well. The Mac, left to its own devices, has a decent soundstage, but it tends to keep the sound between the speakers. I think the Fusion, in all of my cases, all of my tests, opened that up somewhat beyond the speakers and added great definition on that jazz recording. Great stereo separation. Bill Withers, Just the Two of Us, from his greatest hits MoFi reissue, was otherworldly. It's already good. It was otherworldly through the Black Ice Audio Fusion. It was emotionally moving. It was stirring. It had everything. Sometimes in music, it's not just about the music, but hearing things in the music that you weren't necessarily meant to hear. I'm talking about the air between the words, the notes the guitar player doesn't play, that space in between, the artist's position in space. I don't really have the vocabulary to explain it, but I know it when I hear it. And for me, that's the magic sauce that separates us audiophiles from the people on the street with their pods in their ears, or folks who listen in giant mega mansions with contractor-installed ceiling speakers, listening to music in the background. I'm not going to be an elitist here. Not much. I'm for everybody enjoying their music in their way. But I personally, and I know you too, want to squeeze as much music out of your favorite recordings as you can with the budget you have available. I think what you're looking for is why you're here, and upping your phono stage game can reap lots of benefits. And the Black Ice Audio Fusion 9 Mark III does just that, but for a price. It's up to you to decide how far you want to take your search for the sound. Now, there were only two small things I noticed that I should point out, so you don't think I'm some kind of complete shill here or I'm on the take. I'm not, though I do appreciate the good graces of Black Ice Audio for sending me this. I perceive a very slight increase in record surface noise. It might have been my imagination. The boring Mac might have masked it more. I'm almost positive it has to do with the way the Fusion is voiced or EQ'd, but I think that's in service to increased detail, the increased detail you're getting in exchange for a little bit of that. It could be my imagination, it's just a guess. But it doesn't have anything to do with the music. It's the in groove, the out groove, the in-between tracks that I noticed just a very slight uptick in surface noise. Trying not to be a purist about that. That's a small detail. Also, a few times when powering on and off my MoFi deck, I could hear a very faint, dull tick in my speakers. A little, I don't even want to say pop because it was under that. Most wouldn't notice. I will assume responsibility. It could be my quick reviewer wiring or the very high sensitivity of the Fortes or the electronics of the studio deck switch. It could be a combination of all three. I queried Black Ice Audio about it and they encouraged me to check all my connections. Fair enough. They hadn't encountered any other problems. In summary, the Fusion 9 is a great performer for three reasons. The quality parts that are chosen, the tube stage, and the way it's implemented in the overall circuit design, which is beautiful inside here, beautiful and simplistic. Black Ice is very proud of that and very proud of the selected voicing of this unit, which is important to me because I think the voicing is the part that I can hear and appreciate. Audio gear is all about different tastes. I've said this a million times. If everything tasted the same, we wouldn't need a universe of gear and reviews. We would just all buy the same black box. And thankfully, that hasn't happened yet. But I like the sound profile of the Fusion, especially when paired with my Warmish gear. It really opened things up. Now, if you're looking to improve your vinyl reproduction and overall analog sound, your Phono Preamp may be a good place to start. This is the link in the chain often overlooked and misunderstood by many, including your host. The Black Ice Audio Fusion 9 Mark III Phono Preamp brought out more in the music than I originally thought was there. And isn't that what we're all listening for? Find it at blackiceaudio.com. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something. I learned something in this experience. I'll see you next time in the United States of Analog. Holy cow, that ending was a little like Guy Fieri. I gotta check myself before I wreck myself.